Hi, this is Jessica here with another Second Life tutorial on building basics. The edit window, which is this window that I have here, allows you to move and edit the prim or object you have resed. This will be the main window that you'll be working on as you edit your object. Take a look at the options found in the edit window and you'll see several options on the top as well as on the bottom half as well. So on the top, the ones what I want you to focus on right now are the move, rotate, stretch, select face, align, and then edit linked. We'll talk about later. And on the second half of the window, you'll see some tabs which we'll actually be going over in the next video tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and close this. So here's my prim that I created before. What if I needed to come back to edit it? It's really simple. I'm going to right click on it and select edit, and the edit window will open up. And again, it's set to move, and one way to see that it's in move is that the radio button is selected here. But another way you'll know that it's in move is because of the arrow you find all around the prim that you just created. You'll see that if I go walk around it, you'll see all the arrows that it's surrounded by. Now, by selecting the move option, it's very intuitive in that it means to move your item. So in order for me to move it, I can hold, for example, the blue arrow and click and hold it down and then drag up to move my object up and down. And so I can only follow the direction that it's pointing to. So the green arrow, I can move it right to left on my screen, and the red arrow, I can move it back and forth. If you look at the object or prim, the areas, the axes are color-coded. Red for X, which move east and west, allow you to move the object east and west. Green for Y, which allows you to move your object north and south. And Z for up and down, so I can move it higher or lower, so the altitude of it. The axes are centered at the center of that object. Try touching the red arrow and green arrows and drag in the directions that they are pointing to and see what happens. So I want you to play around with this. I want you to get familiar with handling the arrows. That way you know what they can do. How about the rotate button, which is the next option? When I select rotate, take a look that the arrows have disappeared, and now it's surrounded by rings, 3 rings, the blue, the red, and the green. Now these rings allow you to rotate the object based on the axis chosen. So blue, I can only move it left and right. Green, and then red. So depending on what ring you're rotating, you can also rotate the object based on that. And so all I'm doing is clicking on the ring and then dragging. And notice that if I hold the ring and drag out, I can use this map that appears that allows me to rotate a little bit more accurately. How about stretch? Well, stretch is what pretty much it says. It allows you to stretch your object. And you'll notice now that there's little colored boxes around my object, and these are called handles. So if I touch the blue handle here, in my case, I can click on it and then drag it. I can move it up and down. The same thing with a red. This depends on how I drag it. It can modifies your object depending on what you're selecting. Another thing to note about stretching, let me go back. See these white handles? These white handles allow you to stretch your object while still maintaining the aspect ratio of the object. What about select face? Select face. If I select one side of the face, I can choose to modify the texture. If I had a texture in my inventory, I can open up my inventory, select the textures folder, and because I've uploaded stuff, I have stuff here. I can drag it and drop a texture from my inventory to the face, and then if I walk around, you'll notice that the other frames stay the same except for the side, the face that I actually applied the texture to. So you have to select the texture first, and then drag and drop it so that you can have one side be a specific texture. Now, while you're building, it's important practice that after you've made something appear, It's always good practice to take them back into your inventory or just delete them if you're not going to use it again. This is not only good practice, but it also is polite. So how do we do this? How do we take this item back? Well, if I'm going to plan to modify it again, I'm going to close this inventory folder. Quickly, I'm going to give it a name because by default it's given the name object. So I can say frame. And then what I can do is once I name it, okay, so right click and I can select take. If I want to delete it, depending on what version of client you're using, if I want to delete this, I'm going to right click on it, select more, and then select delete. And it's no longer going to be in my inventory. But if I take it, it's going to be in my objects folder, just to let you know. So this concludes this tutorial.